Carolina elected to do with the NIT, what they elected not to do, so forth, so on. The baseball series against Oklahoma. We'll get more into that today. We've got plenty of pulmonary sound. Shane Beamer speaking yesterday, Preston Thorne.
Yeah, he was on the mic, had his first press conference of the newish year. So it's really interesting to hear what he had to say, how he's approaching the spring, what he had to say. I listened to it live, as a matter of fact.
There you go. Yeah, we carried that for you right here on 107.5 The Game. And a lot of interesting stuff. Some huge news coming out of that yesterday as it pertains to the running back situation. One that I think we wanted to joke about, but now we're going to have to hold off just a little bit. Rasul Faison, the big-time running back transfer from Utah State, not actually being cleared eligibility-wise yet by the NCAA. And you know, one of the things for this coming season is going to be replacing Rocket Sanders. You do have Oscar Attaway. You've got Jarwan Howell. You've got Matthew Fuller. But Rasul Faison, who is 25 years old, grown man, has not yet officially been cleared to participate. He can practice. He is more than allowed to practice, but right now is not cleared for the season.
It's still funny that he's 25. We can still joke about that. That hadn't changed.
It would be funny if he was 25. It is hilarious that he and Oscar Attaway will be 25 when South Carolina plays Clemson.
Yeah.
That basically running back 1A and 1B basically are halfway to 30, Preston. They're halfway to 30.
Yeah, no, it's still funny, it makes it even more funnier that a 25-year-old's like, hey, NCAA, can I do something? And they're like, no, because we treating you like we treating the rest of the 18-year-olds with no rights. But you, sir, are 25, and we're not going to treat you like an actual adult.
So that was maybe the big news, but we'll get into it. Shane Beamer yesterday talking about spring games. We'll discuss that a little bit and what he had to say. And then, as I kind of mentioned, we'll get back into some baseball. South Carolina tonight, and we'll have it for you. South Carolina tonight will take on College of Charleston over at Segra Park. 6:15 pregame, 6:30 start time. And look, you know, Preston, I think 2 years ago, you were all over this talking about the midweek games. And at that point, South Carolina was racking up midweek games. You know that the SECs and those 30 SEC games, now 27 remaining, are going to be difficult. You've got to win the midweek games so that maybe it offsets, kind of like what we just saw with, say, Texas, what we just saw with the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Maybe your conference schedule is not quite as strong as you'd like it, but you can point to your midweek games and be like, yes, but we took care of business there.
Have to win the midweeks, especially if they're on TV, especially if they're local, especially if they're against a former coach.
So, yes.
So there's a lot of reasons you have to win this game. Just for that, we're not going to do what you think we're going to do and go to the biggest game ever. It's not that, but need to get it.
I need to get it. So we'll have that for you again tonight. 6:15 pregame, 6:30 start time for that. Also tonight, what is this? A little bit of the men's basketball tournament gets underway tonight. Preston, I'm trying to kind of still years into this, figure out what my feelings are for the first four games. Because, yes, technically, just like baseball is starting today.
There you go.
Major League Baseball is starting today. Technically, the NCAA basketball tournament starts today with Stephen F. Austin against Alcorn State in the early game, and then North Carolina, San Diego State, one that actually has a little bit of curve appeal to it, in the 9-10 game.
That's fascinating. San Diego State was just in the Final Four. Was that
what, two years ago, I think? Yeah.
It's a pretty steep drop. Just like the MLB. This is the start of the tournament, but it's not the official bang.
Yeah.
It's not the official.
Exactly. You're like, it's like a slight appetizer, if you will. It's not even the full appetizer. It's like, crab cake. Just one. So, but we've got a full day for that for you. 6:40 tonight on True TV. Stephen
There we go. It's that time of the year. The execs at True TV are like, this is us. This is where we make our money. Have you said True TV at all one time this year yet until now? 803-404-6100. Do you watch anything else on True TV besides March Madness and what's the other show? The practical
Yeah, I
impractical
don't watch
jokers.
those. And by the way, it's not Stephen F. Austin. I keep calling it because I just looked at SF. But it's St. Francis against Alabama State. I wasn't even close. That just goes to show you that's how I feel.
Let me change my scouting report. I'm sorry. I had the Stephen F. Austin scouting report. Let me go get my who
St. Francis and Alabama State,
Let me go into the files. Good guard play, veterans. What's the scouting report?
You nailed it. Them boys can shoot the ball.
Exactly.
They put the ball in the hoop.
Guys.
Yeah. St. Francis and Alabama State. That shows you what exactly I mean by the tournament's getting started. North Carolina and San Diego State at 9-10 or roughly after that. Definitely a little more entertaining. But we'll get you ready for all of that. Again, a lot to get to. J.C. Sherber to join us this morning. We'll discuss some things with him, including another little thing that's coming up in terms of football. All right, last year we were like, ooh, Nick Harbor trying to do both. Now he's doing one and focused on it. And really, I'm interested to see what this leads to.
This is a very interesting development to me. I would love to know exactly what it means. Obviously, he wouldn't divulge all of that information, but something's changed between last year and this year.
Yeah, so we'll get into that a little bit with JC coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. So, again, a lot going on, a lot to get into this morning as we get you up and get you going. And, the Major League Baseball season begins today with the Tokyo Series, the Dodgers and the Cubs. But as we have deemed it, it is not officially opening day. And the NCAA men's basketball tournament gets going with some games tonight. St. Francis, Alabama State, North Carolina, San Diego State. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And we did finally figure out yesterday, if you didn't catch the end of the show, who CSUN is, who's playing in the NIT tournament tonight at 11 o'clock.
We figured it out yesterday. We forgot it today. Who
Cal State Northridge. I just happened to have the tab still up on my computer, which is why I mentioned it.
Cal State Northridge.
Cal State. Of course, the well-known Matadors of Cal State Northridge against Stanford. Yeah, for those that just want to know, the NIT gets going today that we are not a part of. 803-404-6100. Get up, get going. Tuesday morning, going to be a beautiful day. I believe we're calling for some mid-70s here in the Midlands, so it's going to be a fantastic day. We're going to start the Major League Baseball season here in a few minutes. Freddie Freeman, I think I just saw, is out. I was just glancing up. This one actually caught me off guard just a tad. But we're going to get going with this as it is the early game. Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. Again, you're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for Love Chevrolet, where the inventory is overflowing and the deals, well, it is spring. They are in full bloom. That's right. Get out to Love Chevrolet today. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. And check out the exclusive specials on Suburbans, Tahoes, Silverados, the entire lineup of award-winning Chevrolets. Well, they are on the lot right now and ready to go and ready for you to view. So you got to get out there. Again, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, and check out all the incredible deals, such as the $1,000 low price guarantee, which means you can shop other dealerships, take their deal back to the folks at Love Chevrolet, and they will top it. If not, they'll write you a check for $1,000. Hasn't happened yet, won't happen anytime soon. Go visit Love Chevrolet and check out that incredible sales staff. So friendly, so knowledgeable, so excited to help you. They want to know exactly what you want to purchase, and they want to help you find it. So get out to Love Chevrolet today, and together, let's drive.
Traffic moving along fairly well this morning. Not really seeing any accidents at this time. Great news there. I hope your Tuesday morning commute does go well. A little bit of pollen getting in the throat here, so we'll kind of bear through. 74 is going to be our high today. Lots of sunshine, and I'm assuming a lot of pollen. 81 tomorrow, mostly sunny. Could see a few showers, kind of breezy on Thursday. 65 for the high, 66 on Friday, back into the 70s for the weekend. So something certainly looking forward to, but a cooler start than we've had in a few days. Right now, it's 39 on 107.5 The Game.
$6:16 as we get you up. The co-pilot weighs in this morning. Impractical Jokers is the only thing that comes on True TV, unless you're into the world's dumbest criminals and Danny Bonaducci telling jokes.
Wow, and oh shoot, what's her name? The girl who hired the guy with the stick for took out Nancy Kerrigan.
Tanya Harding.
Tanya Harding, yeah, she's another one who's on there. And Todd Bridges.
Excuse me? What just happened? This a random AI name generator? What are we doing? Famous
this has been a few years ago, but
okay.
I think they're still playing the reruns, but they like have stupid crime stories and then they give their takes on them. Yeah, those are a few of the regulars.
Okay.
All right. Welcome into the program. 6:17. Get up and get going. 803-404.
Danny Bonaducci, did you have that on your bingo card for today?
Not today. Nah, yesterday maybe. Not today. Want to remind you about our 107.5 The Game Spring Golf Classic. This year, we're partnering up with the Lexington County Gamecock Club. You need to go ahead and secure your spot. It'll be Friday, March the 28th. So not this Friday, but the following Friday. Go ahead and book your foursome. 803-755 2000. Again, that's 803-755-2000. We'll, of course, have our par 5 golf ball cannon. We'll be giving away some baseball and football season tickets to 2 lucky winners. We will have some guests, including Basketball Hall of Famer and former Gamecock great Alex English. So book your tee time today. 803-755-2000. We'll be out at Charwood next Friday, March the 28th, for our 107.5 The Game Spring Golf Classic. Shane Beamer taking to the podium yesterday to preview the spring. And, Preston, one of the things he talked about is continuing to have a spring game. Here's a little bit of Shane Beamer talking about why South Carolina is still having a spring game.
Yes, we are absolutely going forward with a spring game. There's, a multitude of reasons for that. And then in regards to not doing it, Jordan, I understand why some coaches don't, I get it. There's a couple things. One, or a lot of thoughts on that. Number one, I don't think having a spring game or not having a spring game is going to prevent teams from trying to tamper with our players. Teams know who's on our roster. They don't need to watch a spring game to say, oh, man, that guy's a pretty good player. Let's see if we can get him to go in the portal. Two, I hear people talk about, injuries. Well, we've got, for us this year, 13 practices leading up to the spring game. It's not like we go out there and just, play two-hand touch. I mean, there's injuries that can happen in practice as well. And in a lot of ways, you worry. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we lost our starting left tackle 2 years ago in the spring game to an ACL injury. I understand that injuries can happen in a spring game, but they can also happen in practice in the 32 days or 30 days that there are leading up to the spring game, 32 days from now. So, I get that, but that's something that isn't weighing heavily on my mind necessarily. And then to me, there's just so many benefits of doing a spring game. One, for the fans, it's awesome for our fans to be able to come out and see our football team perform in Williams-Brice Stadium. Some people that maybe aren't able to come to a home game in Columbia on a Saturday, they're able to come and watch us in the spring game, which I don't want to take that away from any of them.
A lot of really good points there, Preston. Hearing him kind of talk about that and what he had to say, and Shane Beamer, it feels like year 2, but it's truthfully a year 5 for him. That's kind of crazy to say when you really break it down. Year 5 for Shane Beamer, and also the fact that, as I've said, he really goes into year 5. Honestly, in as good a shape as any coach I can remember in my lifetime going into year 5.
Ooh, that's an interesting conversation to have. As he was talking, to summarize it, no, there is not any quote unquote tampering because the coaches already know. 2, the idea of we don't want to play because we want to protect them from injuries, false, because they're already playing. So Shane was saying that he gets what the other coach was saying, but then he also went on to say, like, yeah, right, those are not very solid reasons. Then he provided an even better reason why you should have the spring game, which is a fan service, a service to the community. So they will be having a spring game. He didn't speak very much going forward. He said this year, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, let's start with the first thing that he mentioned there, and that is, look, people know who's on your roster. They know. It's they know who the freshmen are that have enrolled early. They just got done recruiting them. Generally speaking, they know who the transfers are that have enrolled now and they're going through it, and they know who's on your roster. And this is what we kind of made fun of Matt Rule about. Like, Matt Rule's like, oh, people are going to watch our spring game and discover a player they were completely unaware of.
Right. Like somebody's just going to be randomly pulling up the Nebraska red and white game, and they're looking at, look at tight end 2 on the second quarter. He's going to be the guy that we need to get into. It's not going to happen like that because it's not randomly. That's just not a thing. But it sounds good. It sounds as a way to sort of move away from the spring game.
2, he mentioned the fans, and you kind of just circled back to that just a minute ago. And look, that to me is the part of the spring game. I don't know how to exactly tie this in, but it's kind of like being in the NIT. And I know that the fans probably don't care about it, but you do it because it's just an opportunity, maybe because it's tradition. You do the spring game, I think, a lot for the fans and a lot for recruiting, and third, it's for the players. And as a person who's seen all 3 sides of that, you've seen it for you as a young player. You've seen it when they brought recruits in that I don't know if it was the same necessarily back then. It has now become much more of a recruiting event. But I'm trying to think.
I saw 2 things at a spring game that changed my football life. I saw John Abraham, after he had just got drafted, he had on the biggest, most diamondest chain on that I'd ever seen in my life to that point. And then I saw Kalimba Edwards participate in Bull in the Ring. And I was reconsidering what my future career options was after those 2 moments. So, yes, that did happen to me at a spring game. Probably was a spring game 99 or something like that. So, yeah, there is an idea of like getting recruits on campus, getting them to see the players and having conversations with coaches, teams, etc.
But yeah, and then the third part of that is the fans. The fans enjoy it. The fans, like we said, it's a free event, and I don't know, not to get all nostalgic and sappy, but like part of it is the young fans. The young kids that because it's a more laid back atmosphere, and getting young kids into and kind of starting that fandom that they grow up having. I
have a really cool picture from a spring game with my younger daughter. I guess she might have been 3 years old at the time. She had a picture with Aaliyah Boston.
Okay,
because she was at the game, and so she got a chance to take a picture with her. That's really cool. That's not going to happen on a Saturday in the fall, but because of the atmosphere of the spring, it's more relaxed. Everybody's kind of just hanging out. Yes, you have more opportunities for cool things to happen.
And I think Shane truly understands the value of the fans and experiences like this, and that makes a big difference.
I'm with you on that. He yesterday did talk about the biggest keys that they need to focus on this spring. Here's what he had to say about that.
Yeah, I think before you get into like personnel, it's making sure that all of our players, whether it's returning players or whether it's new players, they understand that 2024 didn't just happen. Like there was a lot of work that went into the 2024 season on and off the field. So understanding that we got to be even that much more intentional in 2025 to have the year that we all want to have. And then really it's just there's just so many new faces. We lost a lot of veteran guys, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. And they were all down in the training room before I walked out on the field a little bit ago. And you're just reminded like how many guys that have played a lot of football. Tonka was down there and Brashawn was down there and Rocket Sanders is down there and Bam Scott. I mean, that's a lot of guys that have been here for a while that are now gone. And we're talented. There's no question about it, but we're young and we have to develop leadership and we have to develop, what's this rotation going to look like? It's exciting because there's so many competitive battles going on at a lot of different positions. David brought up the specialist, but you could say that about every position on our offense and defense. There's multiple battles going on for roles, and that's what I'm excited to see as we get out there.
You had to go through that. I don't know how did Lou Holtz handle that with spring ball? What was a Lou Holtz spring like?
Oh man, spring was not a lot of fun. There were some positions that were set as you moved into the year, but it was definitely a proving ground. Definitely a time for players to start making their way onto or up my favorite word, depth charts. We get a chance to have all these types of conversations. And that's what the spring is for. Spring is for some players to learn how to play college football. Some players to advance where they were. Some players are getting out of the doghouse that they ended the last year in. Some players are showing off their gains that they made in winter workouts. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that have happened simultaneously in the spring.
803-404-6100. That's how you can weigh in if you want to do so this morning. Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. We'll get into a little bit of baseball discussion again tonight over at Segra Park. Gamecocks take on Chad Holbrook. Chad Holbrook's back.
Listen, man, you have to win this game. You got to win this game just to keep the Hyenas at bay. Just to keep the Hyenas over there.
Chad Holbrook's back. 6:15 pregame, 6:30 first pitch. We'll have it for you right here on 107.5 The Game. We'll listen to a little bit of Paul Maneri from yesterday and from the weekend when we return. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for Old Timey Meat Market. It's going to be gorgeous tonight. It's going to be gorgeous today, but you know what? With a little bit of South Carolina baseball, with the start of the NCAA basketball tournament, it feels like a phenomenal night to be grilling out or fixing the family a fantastic dinner. And when you visit Old Timey Meat Market, that is exactly what you are going to find. Whether it's steaks, whether it's chicken, whether it's pork, whether it's fish, maybe it's some kind of exotic meat, something like alligator tail. Old Timey Meat Market has you taken care of. So go visit one of their 3 locations today: South Congaree, St. Andrews Road in Irma, or the Lexington store, where you're likely going to run into me, and find that great meal for tonight. Whether you're grilling out or cooking indoors, Old Timey Meat Market has you taken care of because they give you a non-traditional meat buying experience. The butchers know you, they want to talk to you, and they want to help you out. Go visit Old Timey Meat Market today and tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
One accident we do need to make you aware of, and that's Highway 1 at Richardson Boulevard. Outside of that, not really seeing anything else on the board. Good news there, and we're going to see some good news weather-wise. 74 with lots of sunshine today, 81 tomorrow. Thursday, we'll have a little bit of break of the sunshine. It'll be breezy with some showers. 65 will be our high. Then we're back to 66 on Friday and back into the 70s for the weekend. So pretty nice out there overall. First day of spring coming on Thursday. Right now, 39 on the early game.
A bitter pill to swallow. I thought for most of the game we played well enough to win, had a chance, but a couple of things I think ended up being our demise. We had opportunities to score more runs earlier in the game. We didn't take advantage of a couple opportunities and kept them in the game. And then, of course, the seventh inning, we walked the first two guys to the inning with a 2-run lead. That normally doesn't turn out well for you. But then we got the lead and had a chance to close them out. Tough lineup. When we got, the leadoff hitter to pop up in the ninth inning to lead off the inning, I felt pretty good about our chances, but it just didn't happen for us. They tied the game, and then I thought what was going to be a routine fly ball to center field just kept blowing with the wind and went out of the ballpark. And we had a chance even in the bottom of the ninth inning there, and or was that the 10th inning, and just couldn't get them across. So we just got to take it like men and look forward to Tuesday night.
The words of Paul Mainieri, that's Sunday. It was Sunday. We played that yesterday, but that was Sunday after the Gamecocks drop a 6-5 decision in the 10th inning to Oklahoma to lose the series 2-1, a game in which they had under control and failed to pull out. Reminder, you can go to 1075thegame.com to register for our Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. If a Gamecock batter hits a Grand Slam, you could win all the cash in the pot, and we are back to $150. Feels like a good night for a Grand Slam. Just go to 1075thegame.com to register, where the pot again is currently $150. It is the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. And Preston, I guess I don't know if after the Clemson series I'd say they faced adversity. I think maybe it was different what they were facing coming off of the Clemson series. This, you've had a game in which you let get away. You blew it.
Absolutely.
And this is now where you got to see it. Now you got, I think because when we looked at the Georgia State game that was coming up after the Clemson series, I think that was right. Or no, it was a string of games, then Morehead State. There wasn't no juice. There was no meat on the bone. You were just like, nameless, faceless. There's a name and a face tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all of the things that you want to, the juice factor high. You have a former coach who I think after a while folks have reconciled their feelings with that and like, all right, Chad was good. Everything's worked out for everybody and it's good. Location. So you have players that are down there at the College of Charleston. There's always that factor of, did some of those players ever want to play at South Carolina? Is there not a revenge factor, but we're here, they're there. Why are they there? Why are we here? There's always that kind of thing happening. And then coming off of losing a SEC series in the fashion that they did, there are a lot of reasons to be paying attention to the game.
And Paul Mainieri yesterday talked about why these are the challenges that coaches face where they earn their paycheck. These are the kind of challenges. Here's Paul Mainieri. This is yesterday with Jay and Elijah talking about the challenges that the coaches face where they earn their paycheck.
Well, it's certainly a challenge, but I've always said this is when a coach earns his paycheck. You know, it's really easy to coach teams when they're playing great and winning a lot of games and so forth, but when they suffer disappointments like last night or yesterday afternoon was for us, you know, to try to keep them with a positive frame of mind and a love of the game and passion for the game and energy and, you know, enthusiasm to play the next game. You know, it takes quite an effort, you know, and, you know, unfortunately I've suffered a lot of losses in my career, so I've had a lot of practice at it. But, you know, yesterday was really such a disappointment. You know, we had a chance to win the series. I thought our team played really outstanding baseball all weekend. Even the first night, even though we lost, I thought our kids didn't back down against, you know, really one of the best pitchers in the whole country. And we were down 7-1, and we fought back, and we were within a swing of tying the game. And, you know, we just battled right to the very end. I was really proud of the guys, and I knew that we would play well the next day, and we did. And we went out there and we won a big ball game. We out-hit the Oklahoma team the first night, and, of course, we out-hit them the second night. And so, you know, the third day is, you know, the rubber match of a game. And, you know, somehow we got through. Dylan, you know, he walked 4 and hit 1, but somehow he got through 4 in the third innings, and he, you know, held them to nothing. I don't think we gave up more than 1 hit in the first 5 or 6 innings. And we had opportunities to kind of break the game open, and we didn't, you know, take advantage of those opportunities.
You hear him talking a lot about it right there. Taking advantage of opportunities and not being able to get it done. And I don't know, Preston, this is always kind of the interesting thing. Like, is this where a team has it ingrained in them? Do you coach it into them? Do you just have that player that takes advantage? Like, you know, you played on teams. Let's just go back to, 2001.
That's the time machine music.
All right. Let's go back to 2001. And you're in Sanford Stadium, and Georgia's just scored, and there's, 2 minutes to go, 2.5 minutes to go. Derek Watson makes a play and runs the kickback, almost runs it back. Phil Petty throws a pass that everybody went, no. Oh, yes, good play. All right, yes. All right, that worked. But players making plays when it's clutch time.
3 dudes that were going to make plays.
Yeah.
Derek Watson, Phil Petty, Brian Scott. They were going to make plays. So you have the combination of players making plays, a team that believes that they can make plays, because in order for those 3 players to make plays, all the other players had to believe and do their jobs in those situations. So you have to have that belief ingrained in you, and then you have to have the confidence to go out there and do it. So, yeah, yes, it is the players, but also, like he said, this is when coaches get paid their money. It's very easy to coach a team that's winning all the time. That's one of my favorite concepts. You get paid the money in your job to do things when it's going bad. You don't get paid for your job when it's going good. That's why everybody loves their job when it's going well. When things are going bad, that's when you earn your money. When it's a Wednesday in the middle of June and there's nothing to talk about on sports radio, that's when we earn our keep here. That's how this works. If you're a teacher and the good classes pass all their grades, that's not why you get paid to be a teacher. You get paid when little Bill Gunter snotty nose is coming in. You got to straighten him out. That's why you get paid. And so I like that concept of like, hey, man, this is when the coach has to earn their keep around here. And so we'll see how this works.
803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in this morning. We got a lot to get to. We'll get into the end of the hour segment. J.C. Sherbert set to join us this morning, and we'll ask if you ever double booked.
Oopsie. NIT.
We'll let Preston explain. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game. All right. Rolling along on a Tuesday morning. Oh, look at that. You look up. Does it just make you feel warm and cuddly to see the Cubs up 1-0 on the Dodgers?
Just to see the Cubs winning anything is a good day.
Yeah.
Solid. It's solid.
Motoring along, by the way. Top of the third so far over in Tokyo.
Pitch clock.
As Shohei Ohtani is up at bat. We are being serious. Baseball season has officially begun. It's not opening day.
Not opening day.
But officially has begun as the Cubs and the Dodgers are in the top of the third over in Tokyo as part of the Tokyo series. And yes, this one counts on the record. A win and a loss matters. So baseball, Major League Baseball officially underway. Still several days, about 9 days away, I believe, from true technical opening day, but we'll get you there. Also, again, reminder tonight, we got some NCAA men's basketball as the tournament officially gets underway. St. Francis taking on Alabama State, and then North Carolina, San Diego State. And Preston, you got those games, and you also have the NIT tonight.
You have the NIT, but you know who will not be participating in the NIT? South Carolina, nor South Alabama. South Alabama Jaguars. The only difference is both of these teams were invited to the NIT. South Carolina declined their invitation. South Alabama accepted their invitation. However, the NIT said, we kind of want those guys to come. And so what happened in this story is the NIT put out their brackets. One of the teams who was going to the NIT decided that they were going to participate in one of these other off-brand college basketball tournaments. Then that team got word that, hey, maybe the NIT might want you to come to this tournament. And so that team, UC Riverside, said, oh, maybe we can get out of this tournament and get to the NIT. And the NIT was like, yeah, come on in. Yeah, sure. And then South Alabama showed up and was like, hey, I thought we were coming. And the NIT was like, oh, yeah, we did invite you. Whew. Well, we're going to have to take that back. And so the South Alabama Jaguars were told by their coach, were told by the administration that, hey, you're going to the NIT. Congratulations. You were as I wrote it down, you were 20, 21, and 11 in the season, co-Sun Belt champions. Congratulations. You deserved an opportunity to play some more basketball. And then the NIT said, but let me read the official statement. After the NIT bracket was released on Sunday evening, it was brought to the NIT's attention that one of the teams scheduled to participate in the tournament had also committed to a non-NCAA affiliated postseason event. In an effort to secure another team, the NIT prematurely extended an invitation to the South Alabama Jaguars. Prior to learning that Originals teams, regrettably, the NIT rescinded its invitation to South Alabama. We understand the emotional impact this confusion has created, and we sincerely apologize to South Alabama and all of those student athletes. My bad.
I mean, this basically happened to South Carolina. Mm-hmm. You know, remember when they received a text that they were in the NCAA tournament? Basically, I don't know.
Was that with Frank Martin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if it was officially Frank that received the text or Ray Tanner. I don't know. I know Frank said.
But in his regime.
It was, they received a text they were in, and then they were like, oh, we meant the other U.S. Sorry, that area code's got us. The other Southern Cal's coming, not you guys. And that was a year that South Carolina, had a pretty good team. You would think there would be a better system here.
This is why I tell people all the time, hey, man, these people don't really know what they're doing. None of them. Even if they get paid a bunch of money or have a really fancy title, they're just kind of making this stuff up. I don't know. We wanted these guys. We could get UC Riverside now? Call South Alabama. Who's going to make the call? Who has to make that call? Hey, South Alabama. Know that invitation.
Be like, we got an exhibition game for you down here.
Hey, just check it. Y'all still coming or not? Oh, you are? Oh, okay. All right.
So have you ever double booked yourself for something and had to?
803-404-6100. How do you get out of being double booked? It's easy when you double book yourself. It's really difficult when you double book the event and it's like space considerations here. That's why, Jen, you said RSVPs.
RSVPs are so important.
The problem was they sent out 2. South Alabama sent theirs right back.
Right.
yeah.
And they was waiting for UC Riverside. And UC Riverside took a little bit of time, and now you got a big issue, man.
Go.
We have this happen on this show sometimes, and this happens. Jen, I know you don't deal with it. I do. Where some days we go to line up guests, and I'll send out a text message, and then somebody doesn't get back in touch with me right away. But I can't keep waiting to book, for that one person. So I want to move on to get another guest if we don't have it. So there's been times where I've been like, hey, you available for the 7:30 slot? And then somebody.
Then the person you really want.
That's unfortunately, that's the person that we want, only for that person to take an hour and a half to respond. And then, and then you have to go to a backup and be like, hey, we got a slot right here. You want to come up? Then the original person text back in. You're like, can we move? I'm going to have to move you. And you're going to have to settle for this slot.
Except in this case, they have to settle for no more basketball.
Right.
Season's over. They thought they were going to play. And here's why this is actually not really funny, because majority of these players have no further aspirations. This is the end of the line. And so for them, the NIT was actually going to be a opportunity for them to play more basketball, possibly win, compete, all of those things that we love. Instead, go home.
Even worse, do you even want the apology? Do you just want
sincere
them?
Apology.
Do you,
sincere,
don't you
apology.
just want them basically to just not even say anything because an apology is worse in the situation?
Remember when Steve Harvey gave away the pageantry and he's like, "You the winner."
Yeah.
No, maybe,
That's a good one.
maybe it's you. South Alabama, it'll be okay.
Hour 2 on the way. Bill Gunner for Zero Risk Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. You know what? It is Spring Cleaning Month. That's right, National Spring Cleaning Month. Did you know that? You probably didn't because I made it up, but it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. What is important is getting the right company to make your carpets, your rugs, your tile, your upholstery look insanely clean. And that's exactly what Zero Res does with their patented ZR water technology that does not leave behind a sticky, soapy residue. If you give Zero Res a call, you will thoroughly enjoy Spring Cleaning Month. So give them a phone call right now and take advantage of their spring sale. Mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, and get 3 rooms of carpet clean for just $119 plus a free hallway. You heard that right. 3 rooms of carpet clean for $119 plus a free hallway. Give them a phone call, 803-262-4020, or book online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards, is the right way to clean.
Highway 1 at Ermine. If you were heading towards Columbia, stay right. The accident is left. Emergency vehicles are now on the scene, so just be aware in that area. Again, that's Highway 1 heading towards Columbia. Stay right at Ermine Road. And aside from that, things moving along fairly well. That forecast looking pretty good. Also, 74 is what we're looking for today. 81 tomorrow, maybe a couple showers, a little bit breezy for your first day of spring on Thursday. And then 66 on Friday. The sunshine returns and gives us 70s for the weekend.
Seven a.m. on a Tuesday morning as we get you up and get you going. Baseball underway officially. We're debating the words officially against the words technically, but it's officially underway. Just we're not technically calling it opening day. The Cubs and the Dodgers have gotten going over in Tokyo as part of the Tokyo series, and I believe the Cubs are still up 1-0.
I believe that's the last I saw.
Okay, yeah, we've got that on television, live sports here at 7:01 a.m. And officially tonight, the NCAA basketball tournament, the men's tournament, gets underway, and we right now have a contest for you. It is our 107.5 The Game bracket contest, and we've got that getting going. So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to take callers number 6 and number 8. Callers number 6 and number 8, and we will assign you a team. We will assign you a team. You call, Jen's going to assign you a team. Jen, do we tell them who the team is?
I will tell them on the phone.
Do we tell them right now? Should I tell them right now who the two teams could be?
I guess we can.
We will assign Connecticut and Florida.
Okay,
So I'll tell you
caller
what.
6 will get UConn.
Caller
and
6 will get UConn. Caller 8 will get Florida.
Yep.
So what you've got to do right now is time it out to be caller number 8. That's a task.
Well, what about caller 6?
I don't like your odds. Don't like Connecticut in this thing. Florida's 1 seed.
Oh, I see.
Caller
So you're
8.
telling people not.
Caller 8.
I'm taking caller 6 and 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caller 6 gets Connecticut. You're in the game. Caller 8 gets Florida. So 6 and 8. So see, there's a little bit. You don't want to just dial right away. A little bit. And we'll do this later on in the hour as well. We will give away 2 more teams. But you got to have there's got to be a little bit of a technical way of dialing to be a part of this contest, Preston.
Yeah, and if you're calling number 6, you get the roof of Dan Hurley. So congratulations on that, too.
So we'll do that. It's our 107.5 The Game bracket contest, and we'll get that. Caller 6 and 8 is the people that can win that. Connecticut and Florida up for grabs right now. 803-404-6100. Let's get out to the phone lines. It is Tuesday morning. That means JC Sherbert of thebigspur.com, and we'll lead with the big question, JC. Dan Hurley, Connecticut coach, pro or con? Do you like him or do you dislike him?
I like him because I can empathize with him. I wouldn't want to be Bobby Hurley's brother. Bobby Hurley had the most punchable face in college basketball for years. I'm sure somebody's taken that away from him. Dan was kind of the Seton Hall guy that stayed at home, and Bobby went to Duke. Duke is Duke. You know, Bobby has a plush job, best job in college basketball. I think he's got 12. Well, he's going into his 12th year. He's wealthy. He gets to coach at Arizona State. and they don't care if he wins. They just keep paying him. Dan Hurley has got a high-pressure job at UConn, where if he's not in the national championship game, something's wrong. And so I empathize with him, and I get it. I get why. And it's kind of funny because when you watch those two play as players, you would anticipate Bobby being kind of abrasive, but he's not. I don't want to – prickish is a good word too. But Dan is. So I think he's got the ultimate chip on his shoulder. So I don't mind him. I think college sports needs more people like that because we've lost a lot of people that just speak their mind and do whatever. So I don't feel ultimately strong about it, but I am pro Dan Hurley.
I think that's where I come down to. He's absolutely annoying to me, but I do agree that college athletics needs more personalities instead of the cardboard cutouts that we get marched into our living rooms, usually in the fall, but also during basketball too. With the basketball coach, when they just all went to I guess this is a shot, but everybody started wearing the quarter zips and everybody looked and dressed the same. I was like, all right, can we have somebody with a pulse? And now we have Dan Hurley. He's annoying, but I'm all right with it.
More annoying.
Yeah.
803-404-6100. More annoying. Dan Hurley, and I like Dan Hurley, or Jim Harbaugh. Because to me, they're one and the same. I think they're one and the same. Go ahead.
I'm a fan of both.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You actually kind of like both, but both are also in their own way quirky. You got Dan Hurley. I mean, think about this. You got Dan Hurley walking off the court at Creighton earlier this year, pointing to his ring and telling the fans, I got two. You got Dan Hurley telling a referee, if you didn't see this, that he is, and I'm editing what I should be saying, that he is the best coach in the business. Jim Harbaugh did a rap video who asked, who's got it better than us? I mean, these two guys, truthfully, and they're both quirky, because you guys know about what Dan Hurley does after the game?
What?
He goes and sits in some kind of blacked out. It's kind of an Aaron Rodgers thing, to decompress after a game. I forget that. I'll have to look it back up, but to get the actual name of it. But yeah, he goes and sits in a decompression chamber in the arena for a few minutes, like a blacked out room to just get away.
That's cool.
Well, don't blame him. I mean, different people. I mean, that's probably good for his health, to be honest. College coaching now is. It's always been high pressure, folks, but now with the ever-changing rules and the unknown, I mean, it's not a spot really for long-term planners anymore. And that causes stress because you've been doing something one way for 30 years, and then all of a sudden, it changes and changes pretty dramatically. Some people really, I mean, even in my business, some people aren't cut out for it. They were good in 2008, and then they kind of stink now, because they didn't adapt, and that's scary to people that are successful. And so it's all about how you handle it. And so I get it. I get the decompression and things like that because when you're hitting a moving target, so to speak, and the expectations remain high, that's tough. Harbaugh's just a winner, man. I mean, Harbaugh, I predicted he would be in the playoff by year 3 at Michigan. I was off by one game. And then he ended up winning a national championship. Did not surprise me at all. That guy, he's won it the guys that can win at both levels are pretty doggone good coaches. They're going to win, and he did it with a mostly low 4-star, high 3-star roster at Michigan. It's not like they went out and according to recruiting rankings, out-recruited everybody. And they were the best team in college football 2 years ago. And then he takes over the Chargers and wins there. And he won with the 49ers were a mess when he took over. They won there. He won at the University of San Diego, not San Diego State, the high academic Toreros of San Diego. He beat Stanford. He beat Southern Cal during the Pete Carroll era when he was at Stanford with guys that probably didn't run over 4.7 on his whole team. That he just wins. I could care less if he wears dad pants. And, some people come down on him for being friends with Judge Judy and adopting 27 kids and all the stuff that he does off the field. I could care less, man. That guy's a winner.
That's what I'm asking. But as we said, what is it? He drinks milk with steak. He had sleepovers with a recruit. I mean, he's quirky dude. And Dan Hurley's very, very similar in that fashion. As I mentioned, Hurley, I've never met him. I've talked to people, and the thing that always comes up with Hurley that I can see with Jim Harbaugh is intense. Like, there's not a whole lot. Like, if you're analyzing a game, you talk about getting nerdy, that's Dan Hurley from what I am told of people who have been around him.
I believe it.
Like, there's no laughing and joking and cutting. It is very analytical. And look, there's a reason he's a back-to-back national champion. And who knows what Jim Harbaugh would have done this year at Michigan had if he continued. Obviously, we know what Michigan ended up being, but who knows? So, anyway.
Well, he had to get out ahead of the posse, man, because the NCAA situation and all that, which I love that he thumbs his nose at those people, too. I think, they make some illegal phone calls. Who cares with all the money in the sport now? I mean, illegal phone calls. Oh, God. Let's punish him. Let's ban him from the sport for illegal phone calls. Okay.
Well, yeah, so, all right. Well, Jim, we got some winners there, and we will do this again later on in the hour. Connecticut and Florida giving away.
Yep, Ernest got UConn, and Brandon got Florida.
Okay. All right, Ernest. Good luck with Connecticut. Normally, I'd tell you that's a great get, but Connecticut's been a little up and down, but the Big East is pretty difficult this year, and quite frankly, I think we talked about this. Florida's hot, but normally maybe that's not a good thing when you go into the NCAA tournament if you've made a run through the SEC tournament, but we'll see. So good luck to both of y'all. We'll do this again coming up at about 6:50 this morning. Or 7:50. We'll give away another 2 teams. 803-404-6100 on that. All right, we'll get into some football discussion with J.C. Sherbert. Nick Harbor is committed to football. Preston says this is an interesting, maybe what changed. We'll get JC's take on what Nick Harbor can do this spring and maybe now the expectation for the former 5-star that he is fully dedicated. And I think also, Preston and JC, I think this is a fun discussion about Mike Furry, the wide receiver coach, and what he can do as a wide receiver coach in development and looking back on what he did in 2024. We'll discuss that as we roll along. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, J.C. Sherbert on a Tuesday morning. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, where for nearly 30 years, Larry Leitner and the family have been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. And it is that proven history that is your assurance that they will get the job done in a safe, pleasing, and timely manner for you and your operation. Whether you're here in Columbia, Florence, Myrtle Beach, Aiken, Augusta, wherever you may be right now, Mid-State Roofing is ready to help you. So give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. Again, that's 803-356-1919. That's how you can reach Mid-State Roofing. And again, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Mid-State Roofing is ready to help you. That's right, whether it's an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee, Mid-State Roofing will take your phone call and help you with a maintenance contract. Whether it's your home or your business, Mid-State Roofing is there for you. So if you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
Highway 321 near I-20, a stalled tractor trailer is blocking 2 lanes as you're heading towards Columbia. So, again, that's around Highway 321 near I-20. A couple lanes are blocked there as you're heading towards Columbia, so allow for a slowdown. If you're heading into Columbia from Lexington, Ermine Road at Highway 1 or Highway 1 there at Ermine Road, you are going to want to get right because there's an accident in the left lane. In downtown Columbia, Gadsden near Richland. And aside from that, I think that's all the accidents we have right now. That's all we need. We don't need any more. Be careful out there this morning. Looking for a high today of 74, 39 right now.
$7:18 on a Tuesday morning. I want to remind you to go to 1075thegame.com and click on our contest tab where you can join the Gamecock Traditions Over-Under contest. That's right. Go to 1075thegame.com, click on the contest tab, and pick the Gamecock Traditions Over-Under contest. You pick it correctly, you could be drawn to be the winner and get a Gamecock Traditions gift card. And I've seen plenty of the apparel that Gamecock Traditions has been putting out on the Twitter or X machine lately. And trust me, you want to go and purchase some of that for the spring, for the upcoming football season. And a gift card would be a fantastic way to go and do that. So go to 1075thegame.com, click on the contest tab, and sign up for the Gamecock Traditions Over-Under contest. Speaking of football season, spring practice set to get underway tomorrow. JC, Preston, and I think this is a good thing. I think it's a good thing. I know, JC, y'all had an article on thebigspur.com talking a little bit about this, but the fact that Nick Harbor, we're not putting, I feel like, a lot of pressure on him, discussing him, really building him up. But the fact that he's quietly going about switching over to football full-time, Preston, I'll start with you, I think is a good thing for him and for South Carolina.
For South Carolina football?
Both.
Maybe. We'll see. I'm really interested.
But I think the good thing, let me repeat, the good thing is we aren't overhyping. We're going to discuss this now for a minute, but this isn't being overhyped.
I don't know whether that's tempering expectations or what that is. It is. I won't label it. It's a thing. Something has changed in Nick's career trajectory that he's now focusing on football. We'll see at the end of spring if it yields results. We'll see going into the season if it's a plus for him, a benefit. But something has changed.
JC, your thoughts on this, because obviously when you get a 5-star recruit, part of it was the discussion with him bouncing back and forth between track and football. And now I'm not saying he's full-time football, but at least for the spring, he is focused and he will be on the practice field with Mike Furry.
Yeah, I think he nailed it with Mike Furry. Just watching how he sort of pieced it together last year, because that was the one spot where injuries kind of made it a revolving door. And then you look at what he did with Nick in season, and Nick Harbor became pretty consistent, 3-catch-a-game guy down the stretch. Really got a lot more reliable. He's never in games had problems with drops, but he has fought the football a bit in practice. Had a season high 4 catches in the bowl. The stat column there. I think that with the fact that he's a receiver, they turned him into a receiver. He wasn't a receiver coming out of high school, and that's easier said than done. For a guy that big, that everything's kind of come easy to him athletically. To really reach his full potential, he's got to get better with yards after catch. He's got to get better turning on the jets with pads on the field. Right now, he's a possession receiver, and he's good. I mean, he's reliable. Like I said, he catches just about everything that's thrown to him. But to really use his physical gifts, he's got to get better at that. And the more reps you take, the more opportunities you have to work with the coach, Coach Furry on the field, it's a proven fact, the better you get. So I know that there's buzz about him taking another step, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. As far as expectations go, I think the worst thing to happen in that category was the NCAA football game that came out, where basically they didn't make Nick Harbor, they made Randy Moss. And like Randy Moss, when you played the old Madden games, he was unstoppable, 6'5", ran 4.4, played fast. And so I think that, it's human nature to kind of skew it a little bit. I think, he caught 26 passes last year. I think if he can get to 45 this year, that's good. But the key, just watching him as a player to me, is the yak, yards after catch. He's so big, he should be able to break tackles and then turn on the jets and run off and leave people. I think, he's kind of been a step-by-step development. Started as a true freshman where catch the ball, we caught the ball. Then last year, it's okay, let's add some to that. The Alabama catch he made is kind of the idea. The catches, the long fade pass against Missouri that wasn't for a touchdown, that's the idea. Called a touchdown against Wofford, Okay, that's step 2. Well, step 3 is you throw him a slant or a hitch, and he breaks a tackle because he's bigger and stronger than the defensive back, turns on the jets and houses it or goes for a big gain. And I think that when you look at his track record of taking steps, that's plausible, but you still have to go do it. So I think getting those extra reps in during spring, getting those practices in, which he did not have last year, I think that's critical. And he didn't, as a recruit, remember, he committed during the second signing day, didn't enroll because he was doing track until July. So he didn't even really have a summer as a football player at Carolina. So he's, as far as number of practice reps, he's probably taken less than just about everybody else. So I think, in this case, more is more. And so if he could come on, that's huge for South Carolina.
I'm going to throw a name at y'all that I think they're slightly different, but a guy who had, I think, all the potential in the world but never lived up to it, James Atkinson. James Atkinson made an incredible catch against Mississippi State in that game, the fade game that I think set up the play or two later where Petty got hurt. He made the catch over Fred Smoot. He also had some drops in his time. But we forget James Atkinson went and had a little bit of a cup of tea with the Raiders for a period of time. What do you remember about him, Preston? Because I think a lot of his physical attributes as a wide receiver, a little bit different, but can also be kind of similar to Harbor in terms of just, wow, they could be really good.
No, I think that's a great comparison physically. Big, tall, strong, fast, all of those things. First pick off the board if you were picking physicality-wise. Did have some issues as far as catches was concerned. And so, yeah, I think that's a very apt analysis whose physical attributes kept him around the NFL because they just don't make people like that very often. And so that guy is always going to have – Nick is always going to have an opportunity to play football because of his physical attributes. The challenge is, much like James never did, can Nick take the step forward and become a number one wide receiver? Randy Moss was ranked in those college football games because of how he performed on the field, not because of how he ran at the field, right? So Nick was great on these games because he's big, fast, and strong. I would like to see what his actual rating was based on his performance. And I guess my question to you, JC, is does Nick need to be the number one receiver since we're having depth chart conversation? Should he come out of the spring as wide receiver number one?
I think he's a starter on the outside at the X. I guess they call it the X. It changes all the time. I don't know what Mike Shula calls the boundary receiver.
Bring back the flanker.
Yeah.
The flanker, man. I love that. The flanker, wide out, slot back, those terms from the 80s and 90s. But, wide receiver one, I don't know. I think that discussion gets kind of, like in fantasy football, you have a wide receiver one, right? And so that makes sense. there's been times Carolina's had a wide receiver one, like 2023. Clearly, that was Xavier Legette. There's other years where you have three good ones. And I think the key to this season for the passing game is to have three or four that can go do it. But, does he need to be a primary weapon? Yes. I think that would be very good news for South Carolina. I'm not as down on the receiving corps as maybe some of the national media and some other folks. I think a lot of it last year with the different players popping up at different times had to do with injuries because you could never get into a rhythm. Jared Brown would go have a really good game, and the next thing you know, he's out for 2 weeks. And Gage Larvadan, same way. Delvine Campbell played sporadically. Vandrevius Jacobs got hurt down the stretch. Mazeo Bennett got hurt down the stretch. Carolina, we didn't talk about injuries last year because there wasn't the significant amount like there was the previous season, especially along the lines of scrimmage. But that particular position did have, to be inexperienced and a lot of newcomers as it relates to last year's team, that did, I think that hurt a little bit as far as having that one guy that was productive. Nick Harbor led the receivers in receiving yards. Mazeo led them in catches, but he led it in, he was the top wide receiver with yards. Of course, Josh Simon was the top receiver. So, I'd like to see it. I'd just like to see a player that has gotten significantly better by the end of spring, yeah, but by August 31st, definitely. Because if you get him going and the athleticism and the speed and what he is capable of doing starts to translate on the field, that's a whole different conversation than the player he is now.
I'm wildly interested to see this. You just mentioned it, this wide receiving group that Mike Furry gets to work with. We know all about the freshmen that are coming in. Brian Rowe is a guy, JC, I think on the Big Spur that you guys are very excited about. A lot of good things are being said about him. Lex Cyrus is another guy that is there. Obviously, we know about the young guys that are coming in, Sellers and Gidron, and obviously Malik Clark out of Rock Hill, and then Donovan Murph will show up this summer. But again, Vandrevius Jacobs is a guy that I really liked last year. Jared Brown is a guy that you mentioned that really kind of came on at certain times, and now you talk about Nick Harbor. It's a very, and Mazeo Bennett. It's a really, really interesting group. We'll come back. We'll talk a little more football with J.C. Sherbert. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen, and Tuesday morning with J.C. Sherbert. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder, and First Palmetto Bank. It is that time of year. You start thinking about a lot of things that you're doing with your home, and one of those might be refinancing your home. Well, if so, the first person you need to call is Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank and see what options are available to you, what the interest rates are, and how much money you can save. Trust me, Jacob helped me just a few years ago, and he is ready to help you do just the same. So give him a phone call, 803-719-1005. Again, that's 803-719-1005. Call Jacob Crowder today and speak with him. Before you go to purchase that next big home, you want to know how much your down payment's going to be, what your monthly payments are going to be, what the interest rate is. And with Jacob, you get all that information, and he does it in a very simple, easy manner. So call the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder, 803-719-1005.
And we do have a few accidents out there we're trying to make you aware of. Highway 321, as you approach I-20, there's a disabled truck, and that's blocking 2 lanes as you're heading towards Columbia, kind of right there at Buckner and Fairfield. So caution there. Also, Ermine Road, get right as they get an earlier accident cleaned up. Again, that's Highway 1 at Ermine. Stay right. Downtown Columbia, Gadsden Street near Richland. Also a report of a tie-up there. And as far as your forecast goes, 74 is what we'll see today, 81 tomorrow, and ushering in the first day of spring with some breezy conditions, couple showers. 65 will be our high, 66 on Friday before we get back into the 70s over the weekend. Right now, though, it's 38 on the early game.
.35 as we roll along. Dodgers have taken a 3-1 lead in the bottom of the 5th. That was short-lived.
We had some good pitching, but then we switched our pitcher.
Yeah, Dodgers are up 3-1. Cubs are at the plate there, but Dodgers up 3-1, bottom of the 5th. What are you talking about? Well, Major League Baseball season actually officially began today.
You know, when I was debating whether or not to play some like Tokyo Drift music to kind of get in the gist of it, and I have it ready, but I'm not going to play it until the Cubs get back in the lead. So,
solid decision.
Wise decision. JC, you're up there in Chicago. Was everybody fired up for the start? We're not going to call it opening day. We're just call it the start of Major League Baseball season today.
No. I mean, you got to understand this about Chicago. I don't know what Jen was talking about when she said we, because most of the people I know are White Sox fans.
Oh, no.
The Cubs are a tourist attraction, so and for the northern suburbs. I know mostly Sox fans, but I'm in the Southwest burbs, so
see, I guess I was too. I grew up 50 miles south of Chicago, but I was always a Cubs fan and always like ugh to those White Sox. Yuck.
My wife was a Cubs fan for a little while, and then they ticked her off because they lost something. Because everybody used to watch it on WGN.
Oh yeah.
And she switched, and her ex-husband's family, they're all hardcore White Sox, and all of our friends in Homer Glen are hardcore Sox. I've adopted them as my American League team. Of course, I'll always pull for the Braves, but it's an interesting dynamic when you talk about those two fan bases. It's something you wouldn't really think about. You kind of think everybody in Chicago is a Cubs fan because there's so many across the country. Like Phil Mullinax, who's our co-host and producer on Inside the Gamecocks, the show, is a diehard Cubs fan because he grew up in the Carolinas watching them on WTN every afternoon. So it's very interesting. But, yeah, my buddies probably didn't stay. They're probably not watching the Cubs right now, except for there's like 2 or 3 people that I know that are Cubs fans, but most are White Sox.
Oh, wow. Well,
and they suffer worse than anybody.
Tell me.
That's a little bit of an understatement. If you're not aware, the White Sox set the Major League record for losses last year with 121 losses. So any White Sox fans, kudos to all of you
stuck around for that.
Yes.
I'm ready for the Cubs season, and I actually wore my Harry Carey shirt the other day. So I was like kind of putting the mojo ahead. Yep.
Hi, Jen. Hi. Do you like the Cubs? Hey, I want a hot dog. Hey.
I actually got to interview him my first day of an internship at B96 in Chicago and talk about a thrill.
Sober?
Yeah, it was like, how are we going to top day one? Like, I don't know if he was sober or not. We were in the stands. He didn't trip and fall. So, I thought that was a good day.
I love that guy. I mean, that he was an American icon.
Yeah,
I miss old Harry. They don't make him like him anymore.
No. Okay, back to your other sports.
All right. We had.
Thank you for Chicago time.
Who did we open the show that we mentioned?
Danny Bonaducci.
Danny
Oh,
Bonaducci.
yeah. Tanya Harding. And
Tanya Harding. And we just
Todd
got
Bridges.
a Harry Carey impersonation from J.C. Sherbert. We are maxing out on this show. Quickly, J.C. and Preston, today, Pro Day over at South Carolina. Name that caught my attention. I think this is the right move. Terrell Dawkins is back after transferring, I believe, to North Texas.
I think this is that's interesting. Go ahead,
I'm
JC.
sorry, Preston, go ahead.
No,
I was going to go ahead. My bad.
I think it's interesting how this plays out in the transfer portal world because this is all about relationships. So where do you do your pro day? Who gets to do what, where? I think that is a very fascinating aspect of the transfer portal world. So you're saying Terrell Dawkins is back here doing his pro day?
It's what it listed. They've put out a tweet, says South Carolina Pro Day 2025, Kamar Bell, Davis Bevel, Dalvon Campbell, Terrell Dawkins, Gilbert Edmond, Nick Eamon-Wari, O'Donnell Fortune, Tonka Hemingway, Alex Herrera, Alex Huntley, DeAndre Jules, Kyle Kennard, Demetrius Knight Jr., Kai Kroger, Gage Larvindan, Vershawn Lee, Bam, Martin Scott, Juju McDowell, Hunter Rogers, Rocket Sanders, TJ Sanders, Josh Simon, Torricelli Simpkins, David Spalding, and Debo Williams. JC, what do you kind of look for? What are you kind of interested to hear about today?
I'm kind of looking to see Debo Williams, Vershawn Lee, how they perform. Of course, those guys did not make it to the combine. I think they have a chance, particularly Vershawn as a versatile offensive lineman. NFL loves guys like that can play really all five positions on the field because, it's all about roster spots. And I think certainly with his athleticism and experience that he's a guy that could play pro football. With Debo Williams, obviously he was an all-SEC linebacker. It's a chance for him to go out there and test well. And then, Delvon Campbell is intriguing to me just because of he's 6'4", he's 220, he can run, he can fly, really. Just not a lot of production this year for various reasons. And, that kind of guy sometimes can sneak onto a practice squad, and in 2 years he's got 40 catches or something, just because I do think he's good. And it was also productive at Nevada when he was out there. This year was just kind of up and down. There were some injuries and things like that took place as well. So those three are kind of the guys I have circled. To Preston's point about Terrell Dawkins, I see this more and more where guys that used to be maybe weren't on the team last year come back for pro day, and that's fine. I think like Preston said, it's all about relationships and things like that. And so you wish Terrell the best on his pro day today. But this is going to be a historic draft class, most likely, for the Gamecocks. And if you care about the future of the program and recruiting, which I know everybody does, this can help you more than winning the Citrus Bowl. Because all the recruits out there, they love, Georgia recruits very well and frankly gets a discount with NIL promises and things like that. And the national championships are great, but they point to the draft Kirby Smart points to the draft a whole lot. You look at the players they put in the NFL that are thriving. That means a ton when it comes to recruiting.
JC, hold on. Let me pause you just a second. We got to hit a break real quick, and we'll come right back.
I was done. I was done with my thought. That helps you a ton in recruiting. That was my point.
We'll be right back. You're listening to the Early Game. Wrapping it up with J.C. Sherbert here on a Tuesday morning, March the 18th. I want to remind you, coming up next Friday, we've got our 107.5 The Game Spring Golf Classic. This year, we're partnering up with the Lexington County Gamecock Club. Friday, March the 28th at Charwood out in West Columbia. You need to go ahead and call today and sign up and secure your foursome, 803-755-2000. Again, that's 803-755-2000. Call Charwood today and get registered for our 107.5 The Game Spring Golf Classic. That'll be next Friday, the 28th, out at Charwood Golf Club. Tell you what, Jen, right now, we got to give away some tickets for our 107.5 The Game, or not tickets, teams for our 107.5 The Game Bracket Challenge. We'll take callers 6 and 8, and we will assign you some teams. Jen's got 2 teams in there, and we will assign you 2 different teams. Callers 6 and 8 right now, 803-404-6100. Give us a call for our 107.5 The Game Bracket Contest. Callers 6 and 8. You will be assigned teams from Jen Jensen, so give us a phone call and we will get you taken care of on that. Speaking of the NCAA tournament, a little bit different. JC, you had a big kind of post article on South Carolina and the NIL and the NIT. Boy, I've been saying NIL for several months. Now I got to switch to NIT. Give us a little breakdown on what you kind of heard as to the process and what kind of occurred with the Gamecocks and the NIT.
Well, it's sort of an all of the above thing. You know, Colin Murray Boyles, if you watch the tournament game in Nashville, I mean, he got banged up big time. They would have had to have played tonight. You know, the gist of what I posted is that with the new NIL rules with the House settlement, you have to sign your deal for the next year if you're going to front load some of these deals, which in basketball that's going to happen because – you know, you're kind of dealing with a cap once July 1st gets here. And so you really don't have a whole month. And if you win in the first round, I think it's plausible the Gamecocks will have, you know, playing an out-of-conference team. Then you're playing on the 23rd. And that, you know, basketball staffs are not as big as football staffs. You don't have, you know, 5-6 people going through film, watching players. You know, you basically – that takes time. I don't think people understand that a lot. I know that sometimes I don't, but, you know, these are human beings that work jobs, and time is a precious resource. You kind of realize that more as you get older. And so, you know, how many – you know, every time you spend – the time you spend prepping for a game, getting ready for a game, coaching the team is time you can't get on the portal. And the portal is going to be very important for the future of this team. I'm not saying that was the deciding factor, but if you're wondering kind of what changed because the word was they were going to take it, and then it's not, that information kind of came to light on March 12th. And then you take a couple of days to kind of process it and make a decision. So that's the only thing out there that's really changed. That and Colin Murray Boyles maybe being a little more shaken up than he was. So 15 teams declined the NIT this year. And so South Carolina's not alone with this. And, you know, St. John's declined it last year. And they've won 30 games this year and are a 2 seed. So I don't know that it hurts you or helps you. I was ambivalent in my opinion on it. I would have loved to have seen him play, but I also understand why not. I'm not mad about the decision. So that's just kind of one of those things that it kind of depends on your preference and kind of what you believe with regards to your opinion on the subject. But I was very ambivalent about it.
Did you have something?
Oh, no, I was just saying there's hope. You just provided a path. St. John's is playing well, and they declined the NIT last year. So, obviously, we're going to be right on the same path, right?
St. John's was a bubble team last season, so I don't know. I mean, you know, and the guy coaching them, man, you know, y'all mentioned Hurley earlier. You know, Rick Pitino is an institution as well. I mean, that guy, I think this is his 6th different program he's won a conference title with, and or he's won 6 different titles in different conferences, and he's taken 6 teams to the NCAA tournament. I mean, that guy If he makes the Final Four with St. John's, that'll be his fourth different team he's led to the Final Four.
JC, we always appreciate it. A lot of great information there. And we also got a Harry Carey impersonation. We appreciate all you provide for us each and every Tuesday.
Yeah. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Preston. Thanks, Jen. Y'all have a great week.
You
Appreciate
too.
it.
JC Sherber. Make sure you check out thebigspur.com. A lot of great information there. We'll come back. We'll get into our number 3. South Carolina still having a spring game. We'll talk a little bit about it. It's the early game. Bill Gunner from Mid-State Roofing. Let me tell you something. At Mid-State Roofing, they think about your roof 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's always on their mind. That's why if you were to give them a phone call right now at 7:55 a.m., you'll speak with an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee because they know that roofing issues are a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week problem, and that if you have a leak, they're ready to take a peek. So give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. Again, it's 803-356-1919. Call Mid-State Roofing today. Again, you'll speak with an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You'll speak with someone who will help you with that maintenance contract. Whether it's your home or your business, Mid-State Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that'll keep your operation dry and running long into the future. Give Mid-State Roofing a call today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
And looking out there on the highways this morning, we're seeing Gadsden near Richland Street, still working that earlier tie-up. Also, I-20 eastbound at Broad River Road, the right lane is blocked, so do stay left, I-20 eastbound after Broad River Road. I-77 northbound at Decker Boulevard, Killian at I-77, Monticello Road at I-20, also an accident there. And as far as your forecast goes, looking pretty nice this week. 74, that's where we will be today with sunshine. 81 tomorrow. On Thursday, your first day of spring, breezy with some showers, 65. But the rain gets out of here. And really, we'll have a good weekend. 66 Friday and in the 70s for the remainder of the weekend. Right now, 38.
Up and at 'em. Well, it's 8 a.m. I hope you're already up and at 'em. If you're not, it's time to get up and at 'em on a Tuesday morning. Thank you to J.C. Sherbert for joining us there, talking a little football. We'll get back into that coming up. Spring game madness, Preston Thorne. What if we just made up a spring game? Is there a rule against doing what we may talk about this hour?
That's what I'm trying to find out, because I don't know whether Deion Sanders was just talking or whether he was talking with some conviction or what the case was. So I've been desperately on the hunt.
We will tell you more about that. We've been watching some Major League Baseball. It is underway. That is right. Today is the start of the Major League Baseball season. We're not calling it opening day. We're only calling it the start of Major League Baseball season because over in Tokyo, the Cubs and the Dodgers. Now, I didn't even think to look until I just said this out loud. I'm assuming this means we get to do this again tomorrow, too.
It says series.
So I'm assuming 2. I don't know if it's 2 or 3.
I would hate to fly to Tokyo to play a game.
For a singular game?
That'd be tough.
Not enjoyable.
Not great.
What is that? I have no idea.
Far.
From Chicago to there, yeah. What is from L.A. to Tokyo? Does anybody? 12 hours?
Far.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Further than you want to be on a plane.
Jen, you got any idea on that? Tokyo to L.A.?
No, it definitely would be
12. I don't know what.
That would be closer, obviously, than
like Hawaii.
Chicago to LA.
Hawaii's
or
like
to Chicago to Tokyo.
Yeah, Chicago's like. Chicago. L.A. to Hawaii's like 6, isn't it?
See, that's something like that.
I've heard going to Hawaii is beautiful, but it is a disaster. Like leaving from Columbia, South Carolina, or the East Coast to go to Hawaii is. You better enjoy that trip because the flight to get there is something.
Yeah, it's pretty lengthy.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but so the baseball season is underway. The Dodgers are up 3-1 here in the Tokyo series right now as they go to looks like the bottom of the 6th, is I believe what I just saw that. So we will continue to keep that updated. There is baseball season officially underway. Spencer Strider yesterday. Did you guys see this? Spencer Strider making his kind of return, strikes out 6 of the 8 batters he faced for the Boston. He pitched for the Braves, but against the Boston Red Sox in a spring game. That was a spring game, and he took to the mound. We'll have our Chop Talk segment coming up later up this month, but Spencer Strider back, and good news for the Braves, who look like they're going to be a little healthier this year.
We'll see. They were healthy last year at this point, and then it went off the rails really quickly. So, yes, that is a good positive thing for the Braves.
Speaking of some baseball, tonight we'll have it for you right here, 6:15 pregame, 6:30 first pitch, South Carolina against College of Charleston. Game's over at Segra Park. Chad Holbrook, you hit the nail on the head. All right, I think we have reconciled our feelings with Chad Holbrook.
I think everybody's good on this.
Also, I think Mark Kingston helped because we...
Well, sometimes you look back and like, well, maybe it was a little bit too fast one. But I think everybody's good on it. Chad's obviously landed down there. They've done very well. That seems to be working out. We're working our way through this here. I say all that to say, though, this is a game you need.
And this is what Paul Maneri had to talk about yesterday. He joined Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell on the post-game show, and he said, this is it. This is the challenges that you face. This is where coaches earn their paychecks. Here's Paul Maneri yesterday on the post-game show with Jay and Elijah.
Well, it's certainly a challenge, but I've always said this is when a coach earns his paycheck. You know, it's really easy to coach teams when they're playing great and winning a lot of games and so forth, but when they suffer disappointments like last night or yesterday afternoon was for us, you know, to try to keep them with a positive frame of mind and a love of the game and passion for the game and energy and, you know, enthusiasm to play the next game. You know, it takes quite an effort, you know, and, you know, unfortunately I've suffered a lot of losses in my career, so I've had a lot of practice at it. But, you know, yesterday was really such a disappointment. You know, we had a chance to win the series. I thought our team played really outstanding baseball all weekend. Even the first night, even though we lost, I thought our kids didn't back down against, you know, really one of the best pitchers in the whole country. And we were down 7-1, and we fought back, and we were within a swing of tying the game. And, you know, we just battled right to the very end. I was really proud of the guys, and I knew that we would play well the next day, and we did. And we went out there and we won a big ball game. We out-hit the Oklahoma team the first night, and, of course, we out-hit them the second night. And so, the third day is, the rubber match of a game. And, somehow we got through. Dylan, he walked 4 and hit 1, but somehow he got through 4 in the third innings, and he, held them to nothing. I don't think we gave up more than 1 hit in the first 5 or 6 innings. And we had opportunities to kind of break the game open, and we didn't, take advantage of those opportunities.
Walt weighs in, Preston, and totally gets the show. Walt says, Preston, most important game of the baseball season?
Walt, thank you for listening. We appreciate your service. I'm going to stop a little bit short of it. I'm going to stop short. I'm going to stop short. But Walt, you get it. You understand why we and what we do this for. I'm going to stop short, but it is a big one. It is a big one.
That'll be tonight, 6:15 pregame, 6:30 first pitch reminder. You can go to our website, 1075thegame.com, to register for our Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. If a Gamecock batter hits a Grand Slam, you can win the cash. The pot currently is at $150. Go to 1075thegame.com to register for that. It is the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. Yesterday also,
let me say this, Walt, if they had gotten swept by Oklahoma, then this
okay.
But because we did salvage one, like I said, just keep the Hyenas at bay. But we're okay for right now.
All right. So we'll have coverage for you tonight on that. Again, 6:15 pregame, 6:30 first pitch over there at Segra Park. Also yesterday, Shane Beamer speaking to the media, and one thing he did was update us on some injuries. Here's the situation going into the spring for the Gamecocks in terms of injuries and guys that probably will not be able to participate.
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask it, David, so I literally just walked out of the staff meeting and I had the injury report, and I was going to bring it down here, and, of course, I forgot it as well. Michael Smith will not go through spring practice at tight end. Caleb Williams will not go through spring practice on the defensive line. Ryan Brubaker will not go through spring practice on the offensive line, and Damala, our freshman offensive lineman on the offensive line, will not go through spring practice. So unfortunately, those 4 guys are out for spring with some injury things that we wanted to go ahead and get done now so they'd be ready to go for the season. And they both will be optimistic that they all will be optimistic that, maybe a couple guys will be able to do a little bit more towards the end of spring practice. But right now they won't start with us, and we'll see how it goes as we go through the spring. But other than that, everybody's in good shape.
Biggest one there is Michael Smith from the standpoint of he was coming along at tight end. It seemed like the heir apparent to Josh Simon. Smith had a good season last year, and as a guy that they were very excited about, and again, really flashed there. And you'd have liked to just gotten him through the spring and getting those reps.
I would also, I agree. Maybe 1B or 2 is Ryan Brubaker, just because he's an offensive lineman. He's somebody who's been around the program for a while. He seems to need these reps for development, and if he's missing these reps, that means other people are taking those reps. So I'd be interested to see how that story develops.
Yeah, the thing about Brubaker, why I didn't include him, is unfortunately it feels like he's been injured almost the entire time he's been here. So you're exactly right, but certainly that's the situation. South Carolina will hold a spring game. Yesterday, Shane Beamer talked about why South Carolina is still holding a spring game.
Yes, we are absolutely going forward with a spring game. There's a multitude of reasons for that, and then in regards to not doing it, Jordan, I understand why some coaches don't. I get it. There's a couple things. One, or a lot of thoughts on that. Number one, I don't think having a spring game or not having a spring game is going to prevent teams from trying to tamper with our players. Teams know who's on our roster. They don't need to watch a spring game to say, oh, man, that guy's a pretty good player. Let's see if we can get him to go in the portal. 2, I hear people talk about, injuries. Well, we've got for us this year, 13 practices leading up to the spring game. It's not like we go out there and just, play two-hand touch. I mean, there's injuries that can happen in practice as well. And in a lot of ways, you worry. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we lost our starting left tackle 2 years ago in the spring game to an ACL injury. I understand that injuries can happen in a spring game, but they can also happen in practice in the 32 days or 30 days that there are leading up to the spring game, 32 days from now. So, I get that, but that's something that isn't weighing heavily on my mind necessarily. And then to me, there's just so many benefits of doing a spring game. One, for the fans, it's awesome for our fans to be able to come out and see our football team perform in Williams-Brice Stadium. Some people that maybe aren't able to come to a home game in Columbia on a Saturday, they're able to come and watch us in the spring game, which I don't want to take that away from any of them.
So those are the thoughts now. Coming up next, Preston, is this the last spring game of this type for South Carolina? It appears one coach has a plan, and another coach is ready to accept that plan, and we'll tell you all about it. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game.
They say perfection is a journey. Well, our journey led us to Carolina Stone Craftsman just outside Columbia in Chapin. When we renovated a couple of bathrooms, we had cabinets replaced and, of course, needed countertops. So what did we do? We visited Carolina Stone Craftsman. The first time we went there, felt right at home, toured their showroom, which I'm telling you is fabulous. They explained information a little bit more about the different types of stone that they had available and helped us determine what would be best for our needs for each of those bathrooms. Every step of the process was great. Again, from visiting the showroom, selecting the granite, their home visit to get everything measured, it was flawless. Once the installation was complete, they cleaned it all up like they were never there. I tell you, if you're in the market for countertops for a kitchen or bath, I do encourage you to reach out to Carolina Stone Craftsman. Tell them Jen Jensen sent you. They're family owned and operated. Love that. Carolina Stone Craftsman, just beyond Columbia in Chapin, and I promise you, beyond your expectations. Visit them, carolinastonecraftsman.com. I-77 northbound at Decker Boulevard, Killian Road at I-77, and Monticello Road at I-20. Those are the active accidents right now, so be careful approaching those areas. Sunshine 74, that's what we're looking for today. Some sunny skies tomorrow as well, a little bit warmer, 81 for the high. Thursday, that's technically the first day of spring. Get some spring showers and breezy conditions. 65 will be the high, and then we're back to 66 and sunshine on Friday. Right now, though, starting off the morning a little bit cooler, it's 38 on 107.5 The Game.
Reminder, March the 28th, come hang out with us. That is not this Friday, but the following Friday at Charwood Golf Club in West Columbia. Call today and sign up to secure your foursome. 803-755-2000. It's the 107.5 The Game Spring Golf Classic. We're partnering up with Lexington County Gamecock Club, so we'll have some special guests out there, including Alex English. We will be having our charity. As always, Camp Discovery will be out there partnering with the Par 5 Golf Ball Cannon. Look forward to having Camp Discovery out there. And, of course, we'll be giving away some baseball and football season tickets to 2 lucky winners. So get signed up, get registered. That is not this Friday, but the following Friday, 803-755-2000. We'll be out at Charwood Golf Club in West Columbia. Hope to see you and hang out with you. I actually played some golf yesterday, and Preston, was the first round of the year. I'd give it a B-.
Okay. All right. That's how you played. More importantly, how do you feel?
Yeah, you've seen me all morning.
Okay.
My back is a little sore. It was wet. It was very, very wet yesterday out at the Country Club of Lexington, and there was a particular shot that I took that didn't go as planned.
Dude, a round of golf shouldn't hurt you like that.
No, it was wet. Like, I've played some rounds, and I tried to hit a 54-degree wedge, and, like, I almost brought back a full-on rug I could have put in the front yard or at the door for people to wipe their feet off. And
so you didn't hit it well.
Didn't hit it well. Played good. That was one particular bad shot, but I had a good time. Special Olympics golf tournament yesterday out at the Country Club of Lexington. But we got ours coming up Friday, March 28th at Charwood. It's officially golf season, and we will get fully invested in it coming up. Rory McIlroy winning, by the way. I might have to bring it up later. I don't know if you saw what exactly happened yesterday with he and JJ Spawn on 17.
I was keeping an eye on it. Did JJ essentially not forfeit, but not play well?
Didn't play well, and he did a little trick of the trade, and it backfired completely on him on 17.
Okay.
It was one of those things that just it completely backfired. 803-404-6100. We were listening to a little bit of Shane Beamer, and he was talking about why South Carolina's having a spring game. Preston, are spring games about to change as we know it? Has Deion Sanders come up with a new strategy?
Well, sometimes you just float things in the air, and you just throw it out there, and you just hope somebody's listening. Now, Deion's not the first to make this claim. Shane has been really banging his drum for a while also about, hey, maybe we can play some other teams and maybe we can get something done. Before we listen to the Deion Sanders clip, I just want to explicitly note that this is prohibited by the NCAA. We found it. It is explicitly prohibited. It is not a thing. It is, I go as far as to say illegal, but it is not allowed by the NCAA. So let's listen to Deion say what he would propose for the spring games.
Spring game will be televised. ESPN2 will broadcast spring game on the 19th. We got to sell this thing out and pack this thing, because the way the trend is going, you never know if this is going to be the last spring game. I don't believe in that. I don't really want to condone that. I would like to play the spring. Actually, I like to play against another team in the spring. That's what I'm trying to do right now, to have it competitive. Playing against your own guys kind of get monotonous, and you really can't tell the level of your guys, because, you know, it's the same old. Everybody kind of know each other towards the end. I would like to style it like the pros. I would like to practice against someone for a few days, then you have the spring game. And I think the public will be satisfied with that tremendously. I think it's a tremendous idea. Yeah, I've told those personnel who should understand that it's a tremendous idea.
That is not a false word he just said, though.
Listen, man, sometimes you just float things out and you see listen, there's no penalty for just saying stuff. And when you have somebody with the gravitas that Deion has, and he's known for saying those things, maybe some more people will listen. Also, we know that the NCAA, not very strong right now. So I'm not sure that if somebody did this, what could the NCAA actually do? Because do they have any actual power? I don't know. So it's just something he's throwing out there. And then our guy, quote of the year from last year, Fran Brown, head coach of Syracuse, rising up the quote machine rankings, responded on X. He said, "Hey, Deion, we'll come to Boulder for 3 days," offering up Syracuse to go to Boulder. Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
If you, I guess everybody goes into the season thinking the college football playoff is within reason. But if you're Fran Brown and maybe Deion, and you're like, all right, we're probably not going to make the college football playoff, but we can put our name out there. You know, we can do something nobody's done before. We'll deal with whatever the punishment is. You do it, right?
Again, these are just two dudes talking. It sounds, I mean, it's for public consumption, but it just sounds like two dudes in a room like, yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, why not?
Well, so you said a game is strictly prohibited.
Yes.
Do you have the phrasing of because what about practice? Is it practice? Is it I don't know what, if you practice against each other, is that considered competition? Because if the phrasing is competition against another university, can you technically say that the Syracuse players are enrolled in Colorado for 3 days?
The governing body's rules prohibit teams from scrimmaging against each other in spring practices.
Scrimmaging against each other. All right, so that seems to be pretty all-encompassing on that one.
Clear.
I don't know. Do they tell you can't play another game? You know, do I think that this comes to fruition? No, but I do foresee a day. Look, we all know that money, more so now than ever, rules but college football. And you're telling me ADs and coaches see it as is. The thing the coaches will want, I've actually had conversations about this, is, and I'm not, a coach doesn't want to play a Furman or a Wofford and lose, right? Because that's a bad look. But if you play fair or unfair to Furman or Wofford, that's a bad look. But if a Colorado plays a Syracuse and loses, and the other thing that I've been told is that they might manipulate the situation so that the score isn't, and by that I mean, like, you might play a 10-minute quarter. You might come back and play, one team has the ball with the 2-minute warning to drive down and score. That way, it's not 4 quarters of 60 minutes of football to where you look up at the end and somebody lost 45-7 and you're like, oh, coach doesn't have it this year. So you might manipulate the game to where there are certain plays that are, say, just strictly 3rd and 7s. Mm-hmm. So that at the end of the game, you're not like, oh, we just got beat 42-0 here.
All of that can happen. We do this at every level. They do that in high school football. Right. This is all done everywhere all the time. The problem is, Bill, you know, like I know, coaches don't follow the rules. Their egos get involved. It's supposed to be only 3rd and 7s, and then it's supposed to be only 3rd and 7s, and we're working on runs. We're working on draws. And then you'll have some guy like Steve Spurrier throw a reverse pass and score a touchdown or something. Now we got a problem, and now we're fighting on the field. It would never work without a actual governing body having some sense, because I don't trust coaches to follow any of the rules that they
well, but I don't know specifically in terms of practice. We see the preseason games, but in August when an NFL game takes an NFL practice where you've got two teams practice, we only see those practices when there's a huge fight, right? Mm-hmm. Like a huge melee that breaks out. But I would assume that's something similar.
It is.
They have similar. They're like, all right, we are doing this strictly for this 15-minute period.
Exactly. They have all those things, and those are professionals under the shield of the NFL. We don't have that in college football. And to further your point, we were saying that a team doesn't want to lose to Furman or Wofford or a team like that. But how about some of those other teams don't want to go play the big boys because, hey, look at that guy.
Well, yes. If you think Matt Rule didn't like spring games now,
what if you see him in person? Forget tampering on live TV. You just see some wide receiver. Let's just say you see, I don't know, an offensive guard for North Carolina A&T who's playing last year, and you're like,
And the only difference on that is there's a portal season after the spring, because I know people will say, well, that's what happens when, say, like Akron or, someone comes and you're like, I saw that guy. But then you're getting in for the next season. There's a portal season directly after the spring that, like, that dude that just showed out in the spring game could impact your team if you scrimmaged him.
It's a fun idea. Like I said, Shane's been on this train for a minute. He's said this, and he's been advocating for something along those lines. Logistically, I don't know. I see coaches not being able to put all of their things in place in order for this to get done.
803-404-6100. We'll come back. We'll talk a little NCAA basketball tournament, and we'll give you another chance to get two teams for the NCAA tournament as part of our 1075thegame.com bracket challenge. That started this morning, and we've got another opportunity to give away two teams when we come back. You're listening to the early game.
Presser here for our friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location and replace it for you, usually for free, and they work directly with the insurance company to take away the headache. That's right. They'll come out to wherever you are and give you a free quote for any job. Now, if you're at home and you're looking to increase the value of your home, you can do that with new windows or mirrors, and Absolute Glass will take care of that for you too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. Say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
And taking another peek at those traffic conditions out there. I-77 northbound at Decker Boulevard. We do have a report of a tie-up there. Killian at I-77 and Monticello Road at I-20, also a slowdown. 74 is what we're looking forward today. 81 tomorrow, but it'll be sunny both days. We'll enjoy that. Some showers for your first day of spring. A little bit breezy on Thursday. 65 for the high, 66 with sun on Friday. But we get back into the 70s for the weekend. So certainly a week of good weather ahead. Right now, it's still a little bit on the chilly side. 38 on 107.5 The Game.
A lot going on here, and we'll give you the rundown of some things that you can follow us here coming up in just a minute. But let's go ahead, Jen, and give you another chance to get two teams from our 107.5 The Game bracket contest. We'll take caller 6 and 8. Caller 6 and 8. And we will give you a chance to, right now, we'll give you, I keep saying a chance, but we will assign you two teams from the NCAA tournament, and if you can, your team can go and win, you will have a chance to win some nice little prizes from us, season tickets for the rest of the Gamecock baseball season. So right now, caller 6 and 8, and Jen will assign you two teams. We have them here. Two teams from
each caller will get a team.
Right. Yeah, I'm sorry. Good point. We'll assign one caller each a team that Jen has over there. 803-404-6100. Callers 6 and 8 can win that. Let's give you a rundown. We got a lot going on. We mentioned it's Pro Day over at South Carolina. Coming up following us, everybody will be, Tyler and the gang will be over there hanging out for Pro Day at South Carolina, and we'll get back into that a little bit. Preston Thorne will give us his Pro Day story.
Oh, what a day. What days.
You value Pro Day for, I think, all the wrong reasons, but we'll let Preston explain that in just a minute. But Pro Day coming up following us. The Schroeder's Towing Roadshow rolls on. Pro Day live from South Carolina coming up after us. Coming up on Thursday from 9 to 12, the Gamecock Central Group, Tyler Head and the Gamecock Central Group will be taking over the Firehouse Subs here in Columbia, 633 Main Street. And then we'll have a little Play Hooky Thursday and Play Hooky Friday for you from 12 to 6. We'll be at Twin Peaks in the Vista, hanging out and watching the NCAA basketball tournament. You can come and hang out with us at Twin Peaks in the Vista. So we are all over the place this week as spring in full force, whether it is golf, whether it is the NCAA tournament. Obviously, we'll have the regional here for the women coming up on Friday at 4 o'clock. We got the Pro Day here. And Preston, what was the moment you learned that Pro Days at South Carolina, whether you're in school or out of school, are quite the special experience?
I don't know if they had the same experience because things change. But back in my day, Pro Day was a tremendous event because it usually coincides with, like, the beginning of spring practice. So there's a reason of, like, oh, we're going to have to get serious here for a little while. But the Pro Days would be when all of the pros would come back to campus. And the pros would be pros from the NFL. And they would come back to campus, and usually a class would be participating in Pro Day. And guys would have been off training for a while. They'd be back. So it's a really festive, fun time. And then inevitably somebody has a success at Pro Day in which they lock down their spot of going into the pros. And that's when the rest of us freeloaders who had no opportunity of going to the pros were there for the party. And Pro Day night was one of the best parties in town. Sure, it might have been a Tuesday or a Wednesday. That never stopped anybody with the will to want to go party. And so all the pros would come in town, and they bring all their NFL money, and they take all the college kids out, and you just have a great night, morning of Pro Day at local establishments all around the city of
Now,
Columbia.
is there a group text, like check, kind of like we talked about, checking to see, not booking yourself? Like, was there was there a group text that was out and you were like, oh, okay, that guy's coming back. That guy's coming back. I don't need name. We don't need you to call anybody out, but like you're in a group and you're like looking for 2 or 3 specific players to be like, yeah, man, I'll be back flying in Tuesday morning, flying back out Friday.
I'll say this. I mentioned his name earlier in this day. They didn't call him Bank for nothing. And he was very, very generous with his time and money. So always shout out to the future Hall of Famer, my guy. But yes, and what would happen is you just see all these dudes. Like I'll never forget seeing Dante Robinson run a 4.29 in person. Like I knew this dude was good and he played on my team, but whoa, you know what I'm saying? That is wild. Seeing Troy ran his at the combine, but seeing some of these guys go out there and perform and just being really excited and happy for them because you know that they've worked all of this time and that it's very close to happening. Like right around the corner, people's literal lives are going to be changed. So it really is a celebration of all the hard work that you've put in to this point. And some guys are going to really come out the end of today with a new look on life. And then the other side is some guys are not going to perform as they thought, and they're going to get reality splash for them also.
More fun doing it, being a part of it, as going and hanging out with everybody as a player, or after you graduated when it's like the pressure's off and you're like, I'm done with this, man. I don't have to respond to anybody's rules now.
Well, the fun is when you're the most fun of pro day in my opinion was when you were an underclassman.
Okay, yeah, that's what I mean.
Going out with the upperclassmen. And so it's like they have the pressure of the NFL. I'm not a freshman anymore. I'm kind of like sophomore, junior. I understand how this works. I got this down. You know, I can know how to maneuver around the systems. I know how my body works. I know how much water I need to recuperate and how much sleep you know all of those things. So that's the most fun time when those guys are coming back from the NFL and basically just kind of showing love and showing the spoils of their successes to you. Lots of fun.
Again, Tyler and the group will be out there following us at Pro Day as South Carolina gets going. A couple guys that I'm just interested to see who are Kyle Kennard, I feel like has lost a little bit of today's a chance for him. It felt like towards the end of last year we were talking more about him as a second rounder. I don't know if he still is or not. On the flip side of that, it feels like Demetrius Knight, one of the last mock drafts I saw, Demetrius Knight had worked his way into one of the first 60 picks in the draft. So essentially the first 2 rounds. What does a guy like O.D. Fortune run today that could up his draft? I'm assuming he'll run today. I don't know. We don't have the list of what everybody's specifically doing. But guys like that, what do they do that can change maybe some of the thought processes? You mentioned Josh Simon's another guy today. A good day for him. Vaults him up maybe even higher, maybe even to the top 3 or 4 rounds.
Yeah, these guys can dramatically improve their stock today by going out and running a really, really strong time or doing well in some of these specific drills. And the cool part for a lot of those guys, Josh Simon, O.D. Fortune, Debo, is that you have a headliner in Nick Warrior. Mm-hmm. So everybody's in town. The big dogs are here. You're going to have a lot of GMs, a lot of scouts, because they want to see that guy in person. And hopefully while they're watching him, you might be able to peel off a little bit and see some of the side shows. Because the main event is Nick.
And then also you just got probably, as you mentioned, the underclassmen Dylan Stewart and Lenora Sellers, just chest puffed out, maybe a nice necklace on, wandering around a little bit. Like, hey.
Those dudes are a higher level. I'm talking like sub-level of those guys. I'm thinking more underclassmen. Just maybe a guy who was in the safety room with Nick Warrior, like maybe he's 2-3 years away.
803-404-6100. We'll wrap it up. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for the Ecton Law Firm. Tax season officially upon us, and that means some great things and also could mean some bad things, like one of those mean, nasty notices from the IRS. And if you've received one of those, if the IRS has sent you or your business a letter, you could be in a little bit of trouble. You need to contact John Ecton and his team. Don't wait a day longer. Time is of the essence. And at the Ecton Law Firm, they understand that. They've helped thousands of families here in Columbia, Myrtle Beach, Florence, Aiken, Augusta. You get the point, all over. Get through the IRS maze and resolve the stress that comes with one of those notices. So give them a phone call for a free consultation. 803-771-9800. Again, that's 803-771-9800. You've got to call the Ecton Law Firm today. If you've received a nasty notice from the IRS, don't wait another day. Call John Ecton and his team. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. Final segment of the program as we wrap things up here on your Tuesday morning, where it's not opening day, but baseball season officially started today. That's right. The Dodgers and the Cubs are officially playing a game that
Don't want to talk about it.
And that right there tells you what the score is. The game officially counts in the standings. They are over in Tokyo for the Tokyo series, and that has gotten us going here as you just kind of heard Jen allude to a slight bit. It's not going well for the Cubbies.
Listen, man, 161-1, still out there.
Yeah.
Well, this one's not over. This one's not over.
It's not over, but it's the ninth inning.
I mean,
4-1.
Just hold out hope.
That's right. Baseball, you got to get 27 out, so let's see.
They'll be back on tomorrow morning so we'll get to watch again, and we'll get to pull for them tomorrow. So it's a two-game series is what it appears.
I imagine a lot of the Dodgers it's kind of really cool to be over there with Shohei, and he's probably showing them the culture, and he's getting all this stuff. But then they're like, man, can we just go back? Can we just go home?
Yeah, exactly. And we have we have a pitcher who is also.
Yeah, I saw so this Japanese pitcher for the Cubs was starting. I couldn't pronounce his name. I don't have a lot of practice with it.
Me neither.
But
he threw. If it wasn't a no-hitter, it was close. So he's doing well.
You know they do that thing in baseball where they take pitchers out for no reason now. But yeah, so I imagine for the teammates, it's really cool to be with those guys in their home country, and they're showing them the customs and eating and all that stuff. But they're like, all right, and maybe Shohei's like, all right, this is fun.
Yeah, this is like pro day. This is a different kind of pro day. Like they're all back there, and he's just showing them all the places that It's only a 2-game series, and then the actual opening day is coming up March 27th. But we've got opening day. Or excuse me, baseball. Opening day on the 27th. Today is just the start of the Major League season with a little 2-game series here over there in Tokyo. 803-404-6100. Basketball tonight, also kind of like opening day for, I think, a lot of people you and our age. Thursday is the opening of the NCAA basketball tournament. But
Correct.
Tonight, it technically gets going with St. Francis and Alabama State, and then actually a kind of an entertaining one set for about 9:10ish, North Carolina and San Diego State in a play-in game.
Yeah, and as I stated, you said San Diego State, and I was like, weren't they just in the Final Four 2 years ago? But again, is it North Carolina? One of these, weren't they just in the Final Four last year or 2 years ago?
2 years ago, I think.
What is this about?
That was when they made an incredible run.
Yeah.
It's so you've got that tonight, and then tomorrow night you get Xavier and Texas in the play-in game. So some controversial teams there in terms of North Carolina and West Virginia, or West Virginia being left out, North Carolina and Texas being put in.
Yeah, West Virginia.
And we're trying to decide whether West Virginia declined the NIT or just basically is not showing up. South Alabama's like, hey, you what you doing with your spot? What are you guys doing with that NIT bid you got there?
We'll still come. We'll still show up. If you didn't know, yeah, South Alabama had their NIT invitation rescinded because apparently the NIT thought somebody was a better fit. I don't know how else to say it.
It's not just that they thought somebody else was a better fit, too. It's not like they were like, oh, let's get like Rutgers or Pittsburgh or North. Like, no, you lost the spot to
UC Riverside.
Yeah, you're kind of looking around like, wait a minute. Like, I get it if it's University of California, Berkeley. Like, I get if it's University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA. UC Riverside? So, anyway, but we'll cover it all tomorrow for you, get you up and get you going, and keep an eye on the Dodgers. All right, now it's officially over. 161-1.
Still out there.
It's still available to you. Dodgers win the first game of the 2025 Major League Baseball series season 4-1 over there, and we'll have that again for you.
This is why I can be a Gamecock fan and not get real ruffled, because I'm a Bears fan and I'm a Cubs fan. So patience. That's why I can work with Bill. I have patience.
True trooper. A true trooper. We don't know how she does it each and every morning. Also tonight, reminder, we'll have it for you, 6:15 pregame, 6:30 first pitch. South Carolina baseball in College of Charleston. It's the final chance here this morning. but not the biggest game of the season for Pulmonary?
A big one. Not the biggest one yet.
Not the biggest one yet. So we will.
Let's see tomorrow how I feel about that.
We'll keep you updated. I think somebody did text in and say the Arkansas series seems a little unfair to call it the biggest series of the year when you got to go on the road to face number 2. But we'll do all that tomorrow. A lot of fun today.
Yes, sir.
Thank you to J.C. Sherbert for joining us. Y'all have a great rest of the day. We'll catch up with you bright and early, 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Have a great day.
Pressing in for the good folks at Integrated Media. We've been telling you all year that you need to get yourself ready for the outdoor setup in the spring. Well, guess what? Spring is here. The March basketball tournaments are here. The big golf tournament will be there. The UFL will be playing soon. All the things you need to be able to do to watch all your sports